traps, and he's got ridiculous one-punch knockout power, too. He's just such an interesting fighter because his style is so different from everybody else. He's so conservative in the early rounds. I'm a giant Gervonta fan. I think that guy is so unusual.
Yeah.
His style so unusual, and his patience.
The Leo Santa Cruz fight was really something for me because Leo Santa Cruz is a technician, Mexican style, and the fight was very close before Tank stopped him. But he has that power that can end it.
He finds these openings and he sees them, but he doesn't go after them right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient.
Joe Rogan has just dropped bombshells on Gervonta Davis' fighting style ahead of his upcoming clash with Lamont Roach. However, Regis Prograis recently shared his perspective on a possible matchup with Tank Davis, pointing out that Tank's ability to control the distance could be a key factor. He noted that Tank has used a similar approach before, particularly in his bout with Pitbull Cruz, where he kept his opponent at bay. Prograis suggested that this strategy could lead to a closely contested fight, potentially sparking debate over the outcome, much like what happened with Cruz. He emphasized that Tank's style might create a situation where fans are left questioning the decision.
I feel a distance. I feel Tank distance. Yeah, I feel Tank, but distance in a controversial fight. How about that? Tank distance and people in a controversial one. You know, something like kind of like how Pitbull was, like that.
Sean Porter believes that once Lamont Roach gets hit, he's likely going to go to sleep, suggesting the fight may only last until Roach takes a significant shot. However, Porter acknowledges that Roach has been hit before, so if he doesn't go down, the fight could become more competitive. While Porter thinks there are better matchups for Tank Davis, he still views this fight as a good one.
It don't matter. When he get hit, he going to sleep. Just wait for it. This might be a fight until he gets hit. And again, he's tasted that before. So if he gets hit and he doesn't go away, we got a fight on our hands, you know? I think it's a good fight. I think that there's better fights for Tank Davis, but this is a good fight for him.
Trainer Barry Hunter claims that Gervonta Tank Davis is one of the faces of boxing, alongside Canelo Alvarez, which is what makes this fight so interesting.
Tank is one of the faces of boxing, along with Canelo Alvarez. It would be huge to knock one of them faces off that Mount Rushmore boxing.
He also mentioned that Tank has no desire to lose, and that mindset will only build more and more anticipation for the upcoming fight.
I hate losing. I know Tank hate losing. Lamont damn sure don't want to lose, so it's gonna make for a good fight, man.
Gervonta Davis is pushing himself hard in training camp ahead of his fight with Lamont Roach Jr. His regimen includes intense sparring sessions, strength conditioning, and speed drills. Davis focuses on refining his skills, improving footwork, and enhancing his explosive power to ensure a dominant performance in the ring.
God damn.
However, Joe Rogan is really impressed with Gervonta Tank Davis's fighting style. He sees Tank as a unique fighter with incredible patience. Tank doesn't rush in, even when he spots openings. He waits for the perfect moment to strike. Rogan notes that in his training for Lamont Roach Jr., Tank is focusing on refining his skills and sharpening his timing. Despite having a low punch count in the early rounds, Tank's confidence in his knockout power is unmatched. Rogan admires how Tank stays calm and composed, knowing his power can change the fight in an instant.
I'm a giant Gervonta fan. I
Yeah.
think that guy is so unusual.
Yeah.
His style so unusual, and his patience.
The Leo Santa Cruz fight was really something for me because Leo Santa Cruz is a technician, Mexican style, and the fight was very close before Tank stopped him. But he has that power that can end it.
He finds these openings and he sees them, but he doesn't go after them right away. He waits for the right time. He's so patient. Like when you watch the early rounds of his fights, he probably has the lowest punch count in the early round. But he also knows he's got that nuclear option that if he can crack you, most likely he's going to take you out. He's got massive confidence in that.
Brian Norman shared his thoughts on Gervonta Tank Davis's career, expressing some confusion over Tank's choice of opponents. Norman questioned why Tank decided to fight Lamont Roach, a skilled fighter, but one who competes at 130 pounds. He noted that Tank had the option to face other opponents, but instead chose to bring Roach up from a lower weight class. Norman wondered why Tank picked Roach, considering he hadn't done enough to earn the shot, and was left puzzled by the decision.
Yeah, it seemed like Tank, his whole career, what he been doing was he always asked, why should I fight this guy? Why should I fight that guy? but then he go fight somebody else, and now I can ask a question on why did you fight him? For example, Lamont Roach, he a great fighter, but he had 130, I believe. Why you fighting him? Like, you could have fought Shakur, you could have fought anybody else, but you fought a guy from 130 and just brought him up and just say, yeah, he the one, he deserved a fight. Why? He didn't do anything. So I don't know what's up with that.
Teofimo Lopez shared his perspective on a potential bout between Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach Jr., noting that the two have a long history together, having grown up near each other in Washington, D.C. Lopez pointed out that they've faced off in the amateurs and likely sparred as well, giving them a strong familiarity with each other's styles. He believes the fight could be intriguing, but only if Tank allows it to be a competitive matchup.
Damn. All the history, you gotta love it. What do you think about Tank versus, obviously...
Oh, Roach?
Yeah, Roach.
Well, they've known each other for so long now. You know, they grew up nearby in D.C. And I think overall, I think it's gonna be a good fight for as long as Tank wants it to be.
Zab Judah voiced his strong backing for Gervonta Tank Davis, referring to him as his guy. He commended Tank's southpaw style, incredible power, and solid boxing skills. Judah highlighted that Tank is currently in training camp, diligently preparing for the fight. He's confident that Tank will deliver a perfect performance and secure a victory, looking impressive along the way. Judah also expressed excitement to see what lies ahead for Tank after the fight.
He's in training camp right now. He's putting that work in, and I expect for him to be flawless. I expect him to win the fight and look good, and and let's see whatever happens next. You know what I'm saying? So.
What do you think about comments of, Kenny thinking that, Lamont is a more competitive fight than Devin Haney?
I mean, that's an opinionated comment. You know what I'm saying?
Lamont Roach Jr. shared his focused mindset leading up to his fight with Gervonta Tank Davis, explaining that his goal is always to prove he's the best. He acknowledged the importance of defeating Tank, a pay-per-view sensation and knockout expert, knowing it would significantly elevate his career. Roach pointed out that a victory would increase his visibility and solidify his status as a serious contender in the sport of boxing.
My vision, is tunnel, no matter who on the other side of the ring. I always want to prove that I'm the best. Obviously, it's more intense. You got to think of the upside. He's supposed to be one of the faces of boxing. He is a pay-per-view superstar. He is a knockout artist. He got all this upside. Imagine when I win.
Yeah. That's that shit talk I need to hear.
Now, you hear me? Now my stock is here, and they gonna be like, damn. You know what I'm saying? So that's for me. That's going to end.
In another podcast, Joe Rogan said that he is amazed by Gervonta Tank Davis's style, calling him such an interesting fighter. He explains how Tank sets traps, luring his opponents in with his patience. Rogan notes Tank's ridiculous one-punch knockout power and how, in the early rounds, he's conservative, throwing few punches. Tank lets his opponents work, but they're always wary of his power. Rogan points out that Tank just moves in, looking for that perfect opening, and when he finds it, he strikes with incredible precision. His style is so different from everyone else, making him a fascinating fighter to watch.
He sets traps, and he's got ridiculous one-punch knockout power, too. He's just such an interesting fighter because his style is so different from everybody else. He's so conservative in the early rounds, throws so few punches, and he lets you work. He lets you work, and you're backing up, and you're always afraid of that power, and he's just moving in, trying to find that opening where he just gets in there on you.
Coach Bullet is confident in Gervonta Tank Davis's abilities, believing no one can defeat him unless they present a real challenge. He highlighted Tank's vast experience and high ring IQ, stressing how no opponent has ever made him feel pressured or scared. Regarding the upcoming bout with Lamont Roach, Bullet mentioned that while Tank could deliver serious damage to Roach if he stays focused, sometimes top fighters struggle to find motivation for certain matchups. However, Bullet noted that if Roach talks trash, it could ignite Tank's competitive spirit, leading to a more thrilling and competitive fight.
He doesn't have a chance. Tank is a very experienced, high IQ. He The only person that could have beat Tank was Rolly. I keep telling people that. Nobody's going to beat him because they don't bring nothing to the table to make him scared, to puzzle him, to make him, panic or open his eyes like a deer in headlights. So this fight with Roach, I mean, it's Tank selling the fight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody saying, hey, but it's boxing. I'm gonna give you 1,000. If Tank could get himself up to really fight this kid properly, he could really hurt him bad. But sometimes a good fighter, it's hard for him to get up for certain fights. And that's what I see in boxing a lot of time for many years. So I'm glad Roach is talking some mess to him, so maybe he'll put a little fire in him so we can see a good fight.
Al Bernstein shared his thoughts on Lamont Roach's upcoming fight with Gervonta Tank Davis, stating that while Roach is a good fighter, he doesn't believe Roach will be competitive with Davis. He pointed out that Roach is moving up in weight, and despite winning a title at a lower weight, nothing in his past indicates he can beat Davis. Bernstein emphasized that this isn't a knock on Roach, who had a solid career and was a good prospect, but he finds it hard to imagine Roach defeating Tank.
Roach is coming up in weight. He came up in weight through himself. I don't see him. He's a good fighter, but I don't see. He's nothing in his past tells me he's going to beat Gervonta Davis or even be competitive with him. And I'm not. It's not a denigration of Lamont Roach. He's a good fighter. He won a title at a lower weight. And that was a surprise to some people that he did get, even though he was a good prospect. So it's just hard to imagine him beating Davis.
Bozy Ennis shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Lamont Roach Jr., calling it a good matchup. While he acknowledged that it would be an exciting fight, Ennis leaned toward Tank as the winner. He believes Tank's skill and power would give him the edge in the bout.
I think it'd be a good fight, man. Him and Tank. I think it'd be a real good fight, man. You know what I mean? I think I would have to go with Tank, though. I would have to go with Tank. You know what I mean? But I think it's a real good fight. You know what I mean?
Greg Hackett offered his thoughts on Lamont Roach's chances against Gervonta Tank Davis, stating that Roach's best shot at success would be cutting off the ring and preventing Tank from landing his powerful shots. Hackett advised Roach to smother Tank when the opportunity arises, keep a strong jab in play, and stay focused throughout the fight. He also warned Roach not to become overzealous, as trying to do too much could lead to errors that Tank would capitalize on. While recognizing the difficulty of the matchup, Hackett reminded that any fighter can win on any given day, making the fight unpredictable.
I mean, for him to really beat Tank, he gonna have to cut Tank off. He can't let him develop those moments of power, like when he generates his power. When he got to catch him while he trying to tweak the power, and not catch him as in getting a shot off, but he got to smother him at times. He got to stay behind a good jab, and he got to be sturdy, man. He just got to be with it. Can't fall asleep in the ring. And you can't try to get too much and be greedy because you can get caught in between some shit. It's a lot he got to do in there to get the win. But like you said, any man can get the win. I mean,
Jermaine Ortiz shared his perspective on Gervonta Tank Davis's upcoming fight, recognizing Tank's knockout power, but noting that his punch output isn't particularly high. Ortiz mentioned that this time, Davis is facing an opponent of similar height, which could make the fight more competitive. He compared it to Tank's previous bout with Pitbull Cruz, where Tank attempted to box, resulting in a closer fight than many expected. Ortiz believes that if Davis tries to box against Roach, he might not fare as well. Instead, he advises Tank to stick to his usual strategy of pressuring his opponent and walking Roach down, as he does with taller fighters.
We'll see. I just think that Davis really got that knockout power. He doesn't have a lot of output. He's fighting somebody who's closer to his height. I think it would be more of a fight. I think the last time he fought somebody shorter than him was Pitbull, and he tried to box him and he came out. A lot of people didn't like that fight in the sense of, I assume people thought Pitbull won the fight or it was just a closer fight. I don't think, we'll see how Davis goes. I don't think he will do as good if he tries to box him by just, being on his back foot. I think Davis should just do what he does with the bigger guys and walk him down.
Lenny Wilson shared his views on the upcoming fight between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Tank Davis. He suggested that if Roach has a solid chin, the fight could potentially go the full distance. However, if Roach struggles to handle Tank's power, Wilson believes Davis will likely score a knockout. Based on his experience observing both fighters in the ring and gym, Wilson stated that if he had to place a bet, he would put his money on Tank.
So I think if Lamont Roach got a good chin, you dig it, then it could go the distance. If he don't, Tank is gonna put him out. But it can also go to distance because Tank know how to box too. I've watched him in the ring. I've watched him in the gym. I see what he can do. You understand? So, but if I had to bet my money, I'm gonna bet my money on Tank.
Oscar De La Hoya acknowledged Lamont Roach as a skilled fighter, but voiced concerns that Roach might be out of his depth facing Gervonta Tank Davis. He praised Tank's impressive abilities, referring to him as a beast who is deeply committed to his training and always enters the ring in top shape. De La Hoya admitted that it would be a challenging fight for Roach, but emphasized that Tank's experience and dedication to the sport provide him with a clear advantage.
No, I think Lamont Roach is a terrific fighter. He might be a little over his head with Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is, I mean, to say the least, he's a beast. He really is. He's a tremendous fighter. He's a dedicated fighter when it comes to training and fighting and making sure that he's in optimal conditions when he steps inside that squared circle.
Calvin Ford discussed the deep history between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach, highlighting their connection from the amateur Silver Gloves days. He believes this long-standing familiarity will make for an interesting matchup, as Roach consistently gives his best in the ring. Ford also defended the fight despite some criticism, stressing that it's a valuable opportunity for both fighters and the community. He commended Roach for stepping up to the challenge and assured fans that it would be an exciting bout to watch.
Oh man, they've been knowing each other from the amateurs, Silver Gloves, everything. They grew up actually together, you know. Roach and him back and forth battles and whatnot. It's gonna be a pretty interesting fight, you know what I'm saying? Because Roach always he come to fight, and I think it's a great fight. Everybody talking all that stuff about why Roach, because he signed and took the fight, you know what I'm saying? And it's good for the community.
Robert Diaz mentioned that Gervonta Davis is fully aware of the challenge ahead, particularly given his past connection with Lamont Roach. He feels Davis has a genuine respect for Roach, and the respect is mutual, making this matchup one built on a solid understanding between the two. Diaz predicts that the opening rounds will be tactical, with both fighters being cautious and strategic. However, as the fight continues, he expects it to heat up into a more intense showdown. Diaz believes Davis's abilities will be put to the test, and if both boxers remain disciplined, the latter part of the fight could provide plenty of excitement.
But right now I see Tank is going to come in knowing what he has in front of him this time because they know each other. There's a history. Tank respects him. I really believe he respects him. And Lamont for sure does. So I think it'll be a very good strategic fight in the first half. And then it could turn into a real fight in the second half. If everything works out right, we're going to see outboxing of Tank.
Stephen A. Smith shared his thoughts on Lamont Roach's upcoming fight, expressing that he feels Roach is too small for Gervonta Tank Davis. While he acknowledged Roach's skills, he compared the situation to Frank Martin's fight with Tank. Smith predicted that Tank would come out aggressively, and that's exactly what happened, with Tank attacking from the very first round.
I think Roach is too small. I think Roach is too small. And that's my issue. I'm not questioning the skill set or anything like that, but it was similar to Frank Martin. You know what I mean? This guy comes in there and you got 18 fights. And I remember watching that pre-fight press conference when he was annoying Gervonta Davis so much and he cussed by accident. Excuse me. He cussed by accident. He was like, ooh, you know, making this up. He hurt me in sparring and, you know, and I knew Gervonta was going to come for him, and sure enough, that's what he did. Walked right towards him from round one on.
Clarissa Shields acknowledged Lamont Roach's strong amateur background, noting his skill as a fighter, despite being overlooked. She praised Gervonta Tank Davis as tough and talented, mentioning their mutual respect for boxing. Shields confirmed she'd buy the pay-per-view, anticipating a display of Tank's power and the technical skill of both fighters.
Tank and Lamont Roach. Is that the right opponent for Tank?
I don't know why everybody is kind of sleeping on Lamont, but he has a decorated amateur career too. He's a very sturdy kid. He's very skilled. Tank is Tank, you know. And when I say Tank is Tank, I mean like he's a bad man. He can fight. He's tough. I know we had our dispute back and forth, whatever. But at the end of the day, we talk about just boxing. So he's a good fighter, and I look forward to watching that fight.
Is this a pay-per-view fight though? Would you buy it?
I bought any fight that Tank has had pay-per-view, and I think that Lamont Roach is worth watching. I think that this fight is going to be very technical, very skillful. As always, we're going to see the power of Tank on display.
Clarissa Shields reflected on her connection with Lamont Roach, mentioning they go way back to their amateur days. She described him as a great person who wished her luck before her own fight. When asked about strategies for Roach against Gervonta Tank Davis, Shields humorously refused to share, joking that revealing her plan would make her a great trainer. She emphasized her loyalty to her own approach and made it clear she wasn't giving away any secrets.
And Lamont Roach, do you have a relationship with him?
I know him from the amateurs too. He cool. He can fight. He wished me luck on my fight. Hey, let the best man win there.
If he's to be successful, how would he do that?
To be Tank?
Yeah.
Now you want me to give somebody the game plan on how to be Tank?
Dude, you would be a great trainer because you have the skill.
Don't like me, so I ain't gonna give nobody the recipe to beat him. So you can take me later, my nigga.
Mikey Garcia spoke highly of Gervonta Tank Davis, describing him as exceptionally skilled, talented, and seasoned. Garcia pointed out that Tank has encountered nearly every type of opponent and has remarkable knockout ability. He also highlighted Tank's strong confidence and presence, which makes it difficult to bet against him. While he holds Lamont Roach in high regard, Garcia feels that Tank will most likely come out on top, given his consistent track record of success in every fight.
Roach will be a huge threat for Tank. Tank is very talented, very skilled, and also very experienced at this point now. He's fought and seen pretty much every style there is, and his power is tremendous, where he has that knockout punching power, and he's got the confidence to do it, and you just see his demeanor. He's just confident. He knows he's gonna, go out there and execute, and so it's hard to go against Tank. Again, not to disrespect his opponent Roach, but I think Tank is a beast, and he's been proving it every fight. He probably will win this fight as well. Again, it's hard to say and go against Tank. He's proven himself.
So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about Gervonta Tank Davis? We would love to hear your thoughts, so make sure to share your thoughts in the comment section, and also don't forget to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.